Welcome, everybody, to Avy-HD, the podcast that talks about weird people and their weird brains and their weird ideas that are going to change the world. I am Abigail Schondorf. You can call me Avi. You can call me Avy. I prefer you call me Avi or Miss A to my team. We're here to explore neurodiversity and business and the way that those things connect and align with each other, and the ways that they don't always connect and don't always align. So if you feel like you're a bit of an oddball, a bit of a weirdo, maybe like your brain hasn't always fit in with the other people around you, you're probably in the right place. So stick around as we go on this journey of exploring our brains and the ways that we interact in the world. So jumping into it, let me tell you a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Abigail, and I am a neurodivergent entrepreneur. Neurodivergent means that my brain is not like other people's brains. I have ADHD, I have autism, together commonly known as ADHD, and I had to learn how to get through life with my brain the way that it is. For a long time, I didn't know what was going on with me. I just knew that I was different. And that experience as a different human shaped who I am and the way that I go through the world today. But very much by accident. I didn't intend to be here at all. I had a job, I had a career path, I had a plan, and the plan was going to plan until it wasn't. I was working in nonprofit fundraising in Israel. I was in the same field for 8 years, moving up, making a name for myself, establishing my career, until I moved to the United States of America with my family and started over. Unfortunately, that transition, or fortunately, really, as it turns out, it was really a blessing. That transition happened right before COVID. So when you move to the United States of America and you're not an American, you aren't able to work. There's nothing that you can do. Your hands are totally tied. And I had a bunch of stuff lined up for myself where I was going to work virtually. And when the pandemic happened, all of those opportunities disappeared. So I very quickly had to figure out what I was going to be doing with my life and how I was going to feed my family. That's when I found couponing. Extreme couponing. So if you know any of those crazy coupon ladies or just any of those kind of couponing shows, that was me. That's how we fed our family for 6 months. And I mean, I did it and I became good at it. And we definitely were able to buy our groceries that way. But it was not what I wanted to be doing. I wasn't trying to be a couponer as a career. It certainly wasn't how I wanted to feed my family. Ultimately, I ended up helping a family member with a project of theirs that led them to outsourcing the labor to the Philippines. They asked me for my help and my expertise in organizational development and department organization, and I fell in love with working in the virtual space. All of the pieces fit together for me, and I was able to start putting together a solution to solve my ADHD and to solve anything that I had considered a disability or a disadvantage up until that point. That journey led me to really becoming obsessed with turning weaknesses into strengths and people not having to be miserable all the time. Right? Like, you're constantly being told that wrong and the way that your brain works is wrong, and it's not. It's just different. If you're listening to this podcast and at this point you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. It probably means that you're neurotypical. And neurotypical is not a slur and it's nothing scary. It just means that your brain is designed and works in a chemistry similar to the way that most brains work. About 90% of the brains in the world are neurotypical, probably more like 80%. But let's say 80 to 90% of the brains in this world are neurotypical. They work the same way, right? You're all on the same operating system. 80 to 90% of the world is working on an iOS operating system. 10 to 20% of the world, they work on a different system. They are neurodivergent. Neurodivergent simply means that their brain, their neurology is divergent. It's a little bit different. There's diversity in it as compared to the majority of the population. And that word seems really big and it seems really scary. And I'm told constantly to stop using the word neurodivergency or neurodiversity. It confuses people and it makes them like a little nervous. Like you said, I'm a what? I'm broken. That's not what it means at all. It means that your brain is a little bit different. Now, there's a lot of different types of neurodiversity and a lot of different types of neurodivergence. ADHD is a really common one that we know. Autism is one that we're starting to know more and more. OCD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, a number of different learning disabilities, Tourette's, other types of neurological challenges, all of those make your brain a neurodivergent brain. And I continue to use the word neurodivergent because there is strength in numbers. For people who have been told their whole life that the way their brain works is wrong, at least for me, there's something very healing in knowing that we are a huge group, actually, of people who are misunderstood and whose brains aren't understood and who have these tremendous gifts that we've been told are weaknesses or our disabilities our entire lives. And I want the neurodivergence of the world to know that just because you're ADHD and someone else is OCD, the chances are your brains are going to understand each other a lot better. And there's a huge gift in that. You don't have to be alone anymore. You don't have to be alone all the time. I'm jumping around a little bit too much for your taste and you can't follow me. This is probably not the place for you. And that's okay. The rest of the world is designed for you. It's tailored to you. There's hundreds of thousands of podcasts that are directed at you. This may not be your space. And if it does make sense to you, and you can follow my train of thought that seems like it's bouncing all over the place, maybe you are in the right place. And maybe you have taken the first step to finding a community of people that understands you. So let's talk a little bit more about neurodivergence or neurodiversity. Like I said, I have both autism and ADHD, which means that I have two sides of my brain that are constantly fighting each other all the time, because a lot of the needs and desires of autism do not align with the patterns of behavior of ADHD. So you're in a bit of a tug of war all the time. And like one of the best ways that expresses itself for me, like if I go to a party, I'm at a birthday party, maybe with my kids. I'm at a kids party. I love kids parties. They are so much more fun than adult parties. They're probably at an arcade. We probably are doing a bunch of activities. There's cake, there's sprinkles. It's just a good time all around. And I love going to these parties with my kids because I love hanging out with them. I love hanging out with their friends. I love not hanging out with parents if I can help it. I love cupcakes. I love arcade games. I love laser tag. And I really love all the dopamine and all the lights and all the stuff and all the sugar that's happening all the time. That's the ADHD side of my brain. But then the autistic side of my brain really hates loud noises and overstimulating experiences and too many people and being in an unfamiliar place and not being able to plan everything out exactly. So now I'm at a birthday party with my kids and we are at the arcade and we are having an awesome time until I hit the wall and like I need a break because I hit my stimulus limit and I need a little break right now. So I got to go find a corner that I can hide in because my autism needs a little calming down, needs a little help and needs a little something. As a 33-year-old adult looking at my life from the vantage point that I'm at right now, I'm good with that. Take me back 10 years. I was really confused all the time because I would do things like host Thanksgiving for all of my friends, and I would cook and plan for a week. Make sure I really challenge myself. So if you were vegan or you had a dietary concern, definitely come to our house. We're going to figure it out. I would do Thanksgiving that had gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, and regular options. And accommodate to all the different allergies, and like no challenge was too big, and I really enjoyed the cooking and the preparation, and everyone was coming and I was so excited. And then everyone got there and it was just too much. And if you're neurodivergent, if you are ADHD or you are autistic or have some sort of other neurodivergency, you probably know what I'm talking about, because that feeling of shame that surrounds the things that are hard for you is deep. It's incredibly deep. And I think that it's because it's stuff that we're supposed to be good at. Supposed to is one of the most harmful things that we can say to ourselves. You should, or you're supposed to, or why don't you just do this or do that? For somebody who's neurodivergent, that question is almost always being asked from a neurotypical lens. So if I'm sitting on the couch and I can't move, I'm experiencing some sort of ADHD paralysis. I just like can't kickstart the engine, having a really hard time with that right now. Somebody might be looking at me and assuming that I'm lazy, assuming that I could just get up. Like, just get up. And then you'll be standing, right? It's not so hard. You just have to stand up. To say to somebody, I see that you are really struggling to get up right now. You're really having a hard time, huh? That allows me to tap into a deeper well of energy that I have. I'm an adult person. When I need to get up and I need to get things done, I do it. Because you have to. But it takes more energy for me than for the average person, which means that I will be left with less energy in my tank if I do that thing. It's okay. I can do it, but it's going to take my energy, which means that I'm going to have less energy to spend on something else. And knowing that and being able to balance that and surrounding yourself by people who understand that is key to living a happy life. If it sounds like I'm talking about some sort of magical unicorn creature that doesn't exist, like there's no way that people are actually like this, please stick around, because there are people who are actually like this. Why should you care about the people that are actually like this? Well, let me let you in on a little secret. All these weirdos that I'm describing, who can't control their brain and who are stuck paralyzed on the couch for hours at a time, and who are disorganized in their thinking and who are feeling shame a lot of the time because of their personal weaknesses, let me tell you something about those people. Every life-changing idea, not every, the vast majority of life-changing ideas were generated from a neurodivergent brain. It's a brain that is intended to see and synthesize huge quantities of data and information. And it can see in 1 second every possible outcome and path that it would take a typical brain hours and weeks and months to conclude or to notice. So let me just describe that experience for a second, because what it means is that you have an entire world that doesn't understand you and that tells you that you're wrong, right? And you know that you're not wrong. And it gets proven again and again and again that you are not wrong. But it takes time to get there. Okay, so let me give you an example. So let me describe this experience of being a neurodivergent person in the world, especially in the world of business, especially if you don't really know that you are neurodivergent. Because that's one of the fun things, is that we don't often know that we have any sort of neurodivergence or that anything is different with us until we get a diagnosis. We usually don't get that diagnosis until later on in life, unless you were very, very obviously neurodivergent. So if you were an ADHD kid that was bouncing off the walls, you probably got diagnosed with ADHD. If you were an ADHD kid that presents in any other way, you probably didn't get diagnosed with ADHD. If you're an autistic kid who has a lot of trouble connecting emotionally, then you probably got diagnosed with autism. If you're an autistic kid who does not struggle particularly with emotional connection, you probably didn't get diagnosed. Which means if you didn't get diagnosed, that you have created a narrative for yourself of what you are and what you aren't. And within that narrative, you probably claimed being a weirdo, you claimed being incapable at certain things, you claimed a lot of stuff and accepted a lot of stuff into your life that you didn't need to accept at all. The lens of your life has taught you that this is a weakness or a group of weaknesses, and it isn't. There is so much strength in having the brain that you have. And all that's missing is a world that knows how to handle it and knows how to work with it and bring the best out of it. An ADHD entrepreneur is super creative. They have tremendous problem-solving abilities. They can hyper-focus on something, which means that if you find the right person and pair them with the right passion project and give them the right resources, they can solve any problem as long as they're interested. And wouldn't that be so much more amazing to live in a world where people are working on the stuff they're interested in? That you're only focusing on the stuff that you're good at. Everybody focuses on their strengths. And then you get rid of the shame about your weaknesses. Okay, so you're bad at that. Who cares? Literally, who gives a shit that you are bad at something? Everybody in the world is bad at way more things than they are good at. If you ask someone what they're good at, they're good at singing, they're good at drawing, they're good at dancing, they're good at cooking. Okay, that's 4 things out of a million things that you could be good at. But we don't tell that person, oh, look at you, you're only good at 4 out of a million things. No, why would you go through the world like that? Why would you go through your life like that, focusing constantly on what is wrong and what is not working, when you could be focusing on what is working and what is right? That focus is a choice. And for people who are neurodivergent, it's a choice that you can't afford not to make. Because the things that you're bad at are things that most people don't even consider challenges. It's hard for you to shower. It's hard for you to load the dishwasher. It's hard for you to do your laundry. It's hard for you to clean your house. It's hard for you to walk your dog. It's hard for you to remember to eat. All of those things can be very shameful. Or not. Or it can just be part of your life that you accept. Because we are too grown and we are too old and we have spent too much time worrying about all of this nonsense year in and year out. And at 33, I still have not found a way to do the dishes normal. And it drives my household crazy. If I'm left to do the dishes, all of the dishes are getting put into the dishwasher, and then I run it as many times as I need to run it until the dishes are clean. If that makes you crazy, please don't come to my house and don't look at my dishwasher. And if you live in my household and it makes you insane, well, there's someone else in my household that loads the dishwasher because they can't stand that I load the dishwasher like a moron. And I can't stand beating myself up and shaming myself and telling myself that I should be different or I should be better every time I'm loading the stupid dishwasher. I don't know how to load my dishwasher. When I load my dishwasher, I put all of the dishes into the dishwasher in a pile to the best of my ability, like whatever, and then I shut the thing and I run it through as many times as I need to until the dishes are clean. Now, it makes certain people in my household crazy. And if you are a person who enjoys satisfying aesthetics, please do not come into my house and do not open my dishwasher. You are going to really have a heart attack. It's not going to go well. But I could spend the next half hour fighting with my dishwasher and losing, and then feel bad about myself and then climb back into bed because I'm such a goddamn failure that can't even load my dishwasher. Or I could throw the dishes in there and spend the next 28 minutes working on something that I'm good at. I can put together a full business strategy for you in 28 minutes, from here to $1 million. And I should spend my time fighting my dishwasher and feeling bad about it? That has to be the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again when it doesn't work. But then not only that, you also internalize that insanity and turn it into shame, which is... And the amount of people that I talk to have specific challenges, but we don't think about creative solutions because they seem so weird. Just do the weird thing. So I was talking to someone over this past week, and part of her business, she has a vending machine business. And the vending machine business means that you have to go from vending machine to vending machine, restocking the product, collecting the money, emptying it out, notating where the monies came from, what machine, what date, how much money it was, and then taking it to the bank. For a neurotypical brain, what I just described is simple. You do your vending machine route. For the neurodivergent brain, what I just described is about 150 steps. You have to go to the car, drive to the first vending machine location, go inside, check the vending machine, empty the vending machine of monies, stock the vending machine of product, notate the date that you picked up the stuff, count the amount of money that's in there, notate the amount of money that's in there, and then not forget about it, put it in your car, go to the next place. When you get to the next place, you have to get out of the car, repeat all of the steps from step 1, get back into your car. People who are neurodivergent struggle with transition. So all that in, out, in, out, in, out, deduct energy points for that. Takes a lot of energy. So the person was saying that she struggles because then she ends up at her house. She has this big box of bags and coins and things that need to go to the bank, but she still has to count it. Like there's still stuff and steps that need to happen. So I asked, do you take your car when you go to the vending machines? And do you share your car? And she said, no, my car is mine. Like I'm the only one who uses it. Why? So I said, could you turn the front seat into like a little money counting thing? Like you have one of the bill counters, like, and then a coin counter. So when you get into your car, you've collected the monies from the vending machine. You get into your car, you dump the money straight into the coin counter or into the cash counter. By the time you get to the next stop, you should have a full tally of how much you collected from that location. So then I'm using my transition time to continue the last task and finish it up. So by the time I get to my 10th, 12th, 20th vending machine, whatever, I have all of my tallies. and then I can drive straight to the bank before I go home. And she looked at me like, okay, I guess I could try that. Like, I never thought about that. But it solves for every challenge that she was having. It's just that we don't think that way. It's scary almost to try and find a simple solution to a problem that shouldn't be a problem. Because if I have to admit it, I would rather just be normal than have to find a solution for every one of my crazy problems. And that's like the sad part of it, right? Where you just wish that your brain would do the things that you would tell it to do, and it like just did what it was supposed to, and it wasn't so damn hard. And it is hard. And I'm not discounting that. But the shame and the emotion attached to the difficulty is what makes it really hard. And without the shame, we could just solve our problems and live our lives and be happier. I've been assuming that a lot of y'all are late diagnosis people, meaning that either you still don't know why your brain is the way that it is, or you found out really late. And the number one indicator of success for somebody neurodivergent is a support community. In my opinion, the number one indicator for success of a human being is a support community. Who in your life is going to support you, who understands you, who doesn't understand you, and most importantly, who is willing to put in the time and effort to help you in the way that you need help. And developing that support community where you can ask for things that are weird, and you can ask for things that are outside of the norm. I hate making phone calls. My best friend also hates making phone calls. So I make their phone calls and they make my phone calls. When I'm doing it for them, it's easier all of a sudden. When they're doing it for me, it's easier all of a sudden. Is it weird to ask your friend to make your phone calls for you and impersonate you at the doctor's office? Like, yeah, it's a bit weird. It's way weirder and crazier to spend 4 hours trying to make a call to the doctor's office when you could spend 30 seconds asking for help. And before you come for me and explain to me that asking for help isn't so simple, I know that. And the reason asking for help isn't so simple is because we as human beings have a tendency to give help in the way that we would want to receive help. And especially if your brain doesn't work the same as most people's brains, you don't need help in the same way that other people need help. You need help in the way that you need help. But you have spent your life screaming at the top of your lungs, telling the people around you who are supposed to care exactly the help you need. And their response was to tell you that you are wrong and to gaslight you and to give you help that you didn't need. And even worse than that, tell you that this was what you needed. I'm going to give you guys a real life example in a second, but just imagine you are thirsty. You are dying of thirst. But you are so thirsty at this point that you know if you drink water, you are just going to throw up. You're going to be in bad shape. You know yourself, you know your body. If I take a sip of water, I'm going to be in trouble. So you ask for a cup of ice. And they bring you a cup of water. And you say, I don't need water right now, I need ice. And they say, you're thirsty, you need water. And you're insisting, no, I don't need water, I need ice. Because if I drink water right now, that's not going to help. And it might even make it worse. And no one will bring you a cup of ice. And not only that, they watch you die of thirst, sitting next to a cup of water. and you're pleading, please, can I just have some ice? I just need a cup of ice. And they say to you, I already helped you. I brought you a cup of water. It's sitting right there. If you needed help that badly, you could just pick up and drink. If you were that thirsty, you would just drink the water that's sitting right next to you. But you don't need water. You need ice. And now repeat that experience over and over and over and over and over again throughout your life. And you either are going to become a person who doesn't trust themselves, I don't actually know what I need, or a person who doesn't trust the world. This world does not know what I need. But in both of those situations, you don't ask for help. Because either you're too ashamed or you're not going to get it anyways. And that leaves people lonely and helpless and struggling on their own. And I'm getting a little emotional. I'm getting a little teary. Because I can think of a million examples of times when I was told that I was getting the help I needed and I was not. I want to hear your examples. I think it can be really healing to talk about the time that you really needed help and the world helped you and it was not helpful. Tell us about it. We want to hear about it. Maybe we can go through it and talk about the type of help that would have been helpful to you in that situation. Because even giving yourself that validation now has such a healing power, and it can create confidence to advocate for yourself and to speak up for what you do need. Advocating for yourself as somebody neurodivergent is hard, and it's so necessary because the world, it's not that people don't want to help you. People want to help. They want to be positive. They want to be helpful. They want to do a good job. Generally speaking, people aren't setting out with designs to harm you. But a lot of the times people get it wrong. So our goals here are to change the world, to change the way that we see ourselves as neurodivergent people, to create a community of neurodivergence and neurodiversity that is stronger together, no longer being ADHD, autistic, OCD, dyslexic, Tourette's, all of us together, working together to promote our strengths and to offset our weaknesses. This is not going to be an easy journey. And I'm not at the end. I don't have all the answers. I'm going on my own journey as well. My own journey of healing and my own journey of self-discovery and my own journey of challenging myself in everything that I have always thought was not possible. And I invite you to join me on that, on your own journey. Whether you are starting your entrepreneurship journey, you're well into your business life, maybe you've tried and tried and tried and nothing has really stuck, nothing has really succeeded and you don't know why. I believe that understanding your brain is the key to figuring out what's not working and why it isn't working. We're going to be asking the hard questions here, and we're going to be having the hard conversations. We're not always going to have all of the answers, and it's not going to be comfortable all of the time. But I can promise you that it will be validating, it will be healing, and that you will learn about yourself and about your mind and about what is true and what is not. I implore you, ask the hard questions. Doubt everything. Do not trust anything that you know to be true. Open your mind to learn and to experience the world through someone else's lens. Throughout the podcast, we're going to have guest hosts and guest speakers that I am so excited about. I'm going to be bringing on some of my neurodivergent counterparts, people who every single day say Avy, stop saying neurodivergent. I cannot listen to that word any more times. I literally have teams that have banned me from using the word neurodivergent. I'm allowed to use it once a day, and then I'm not allowed to use it any more times. But we're going to bring them on here. We're going to trigger them with the use of the word neurodivergent until they're blue in the face. We're going to have guests on our podcast and co-hosts that will bring their own perspective and their own lens on what it's like to live as a person with neurodiversity, with ADHD, with autism, with other types of neurodiversity, and tell us about their unique strengths and the way that they see the world. We're going to be reacting to and commenting on some common workplace stuff. We're going to be looking at things that we know to be true from the neurotypical side and from the neurodivergent side. And we're going to learn that even when something seems clear, it's only clear to you from your perspective. But there's all sorts of people in the world with all kinds of experiences, perspectives, ways of interacting, thoughts, feelings, and the better we understand each other, the stronger we're going to be as a collective. If you had no idea what the hell I've been talking about this whole time, please subscribe because you have a lot to learn. If I have been talking this whole time and you feel like finally somebody understands what you've been saying and feeling your whole life, please subscribe. I need you here in this community, and I need to know what you want to hear about. Follow along, subscribe to our podcast, Avy-HD. Drop us comments, let us know what you want to hear about. We love to hear from you. The dialogue is important. And here's to a community where weirdos can take over. I'll see y'all next week.